Is this not the cutest little face you've seen on any vehicle ever? We're back with another amazing classics video, and Larry has made a return. Hey, buddy.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So, of course, Larry is our go-to JDM expert, and he's bought yet another fun little van. What are we looking at?
It's a 1995 Suzuki Every. These cars are quite common in Japan, used for work and for like the post office. They'll use them for delivery and stuff. And but this one is kind of special because it was used in a Japanese TV program. It was actually a dating advice program. It was like a stealth dating advice program.
So like you'd go into the van and they'd like tell you how to like find your soulmate?
Essentially. So they would they would actually give advice to probably the driver, and then the person they were interested in was the passenger, and then they would like secretly give them advice and things to say so that they could, you know, be more attractive and maybe catch their date. So
what you're saying is we're looking at the DeLorean time machine of Japan.
It is. It's kind of the love truck, actually.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about these Suzukis. Now, is this considered a K van?
This is a 660cc van. Actually, I think it's 659 cc's. And then this is a 95, and that was a transition year. This has the same motor that a Suzuki Cappuccino or AZ1 has. But this one's a single cam, all those are double cam. But this still puts out 64 horsepower, and I think the torque is about the same, around 65 pound-feet of torque as well. So the engine is really good, and it's considered the best of the K car engines.
Is it really?
Yeah, the Suzuki engine always has a lot of output, and you can get more out of it compared to the Hondas or the Subarus or the Mitsubishis, where they're kind of maxed out at 64.
So when I look at like these old 1990s Japanese vans, like you have the Honda Acti, you've got the Suzuki, you got the Subaru Sandbar. To me, they all look exactly the same.
And they pretty much are.
Are there a lot of differences between them?
There are. The Subarus at that time period actually, and the Hondas were made with better steel, so they tend to rust less. Okay. Suzuki, unfortunately, wasn't made with such good steel. They tend to rust the most. But this one has no rust, amazingly. This one's kind of a time capsule. But the Suzukis are considered like the best handling. They're considered really well made. So Suzuki specializes in cheap, small cars. Okay. And so they're considered the best of the K cars. They're usually the most powerful. They handle the best, have the most amenities, things like that.
Now this adorable front end, is this stock or was this aftermarket?
This is stock. It's a special order item. Now Mazda sold this same car. It was actually rebadged, but I can't remember the name, but it was, and those usually had this kind of headlight, but Suzuki, you could special order them. Okay, so this was actually from the factory. From the factory, yeah. Gosh, it's just adorable. Now, let's talk about the configuration, right? So last time you were here, you had this crazy little Subaru Sandbar with this sliding roof and all these bizarre features. Is this a passenger version? Is this a crew version? What are we looking at? Okay, so this one's kind of the crew version. It's not designed for carrying people long distances. It has the seat, but you're not supposed to take people in the back long distances. It's really considered a two-seater. But the cool thing about it is that this folds completely flat. So if you put this seat here and then you grab under here and unlock it, this will go completely flat. Whoa, look at that. And so this is the work version. So I mean, there is no soundproofing whatsoever in here at all. And then, and it's like you could hose it out. I mean, it's essentially designed for work and not really designed for regular people, pleasure. Yeah. But they do make that version. They even made a version with a sliding top. And that's like the most coveted K-van you can find. Yeah? Yeah, more than any other. They're going for like $10,000 or more in Japan. Wow. And I remember I tried to buy one 2 years ago, and it went up for about $5,000, and I was like, that's ridiculous. You can get the Subaru version for like, $2,000 or $3,000 at most. But I think I paid like $1,500 or maybe $2,000 for this one. I can't remember, but that was a lot. You could get them for $1,000, but this one was so clean. Yeah. And it was a funky color. And it's probably been repainted, right? Yeah, this was painted for the TV program. But they actually did a good job. I was really worried about it because usually they're like 10-footers. It does look good. So let's talk about where the engine lives. So we got a shot of it, but it's kind of in the rear.
And
it's mid-engine, man.
Wait, is this one just rear-wheel drive?
This one's just rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
So the four-wheel drive ones are also very good because they often the four-wheel drive ones will have a rear locker. It's electronic, and then they have a button to engage it and disengage it. So I had this same exact van, but mine was white. But mine was a turbo, and it was four-wheel drive, and it was I took it skiing in Japan, and I lived in snow country, Yukiguni, and sometimes I'd open my door and snow would come in.
Wow.
But so if you had studded tires, you could go anywhere. I mean, I never once got stuck in the car.
So 659 cc's, right?
Yeah.
When I hear that as an American, I think that this thing would barely struggle to do like 35 miles an hour, but these are pretty advanced little engines.
They are.
And they rev super high.
Yeah, they do. I think it's 8,500. So you wouldn't know on this car without the...
Right, there's no tachometer.
What's
the fastest you've had this?
I got it up to 75 today.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty good for Colorado. I know even the naturally aspirated ones at sea level can get up to about 84.
84.
Yeah, they have a limiter.
Oh, they do.
They do. So if you're going downhill in Seattle or something like that, you'll probably get it up to 84. But up here in Colorado, you're losing, what, 10 or 20% of your horsepower. So
the engine, you actually have to kind of remove some bolts to get to.
Yeah.
But what do we have going on here?
So this is the coolant on one side and the wiper fluid on the other. And to be as efficient as they could, they put the tanks together. Oops.
Yeah?
So, yeah, let me pull on that. So you have, it looks like one tank, but it's actually two tanks glued together. So this is the overflow tank for the coolant, and this is the wiper fluid.
And look at that, so it's all accessible. So if you had stuff in your van, right, if you're hauling stuff but you needed to add washer fluid, you could still do it.
Yep, you can still get to it.
And then how do you check the oil on this?
We have to go to the other side here.
Okay.
And then you have to go check right here in the wheel well. It's right there. It's the oil checker.
That is so cool. So there's a lot of kind of thought towards serviceability with these vans.
Yeah, they really are. And Suzuki has always been considered the best of the K-car makers. They specialize in that. You know, I think their biggest market now is India and Pakistan.
So when we're saying K-car, can we, like, if you've never heard of that, what does that mean?
So K-car is basically, it's called a light vehicle in Japan, and they're restricted to 660 cc and 64 horsepower.
Gotcha.
And then they have a certain length, width, and height they can be.
Okay.
The weight doesn't matter, but even though they're light.
Look at the space back there.
But that designation is only a Japan thing,
right? And
so they're much lower taxed. So, like, the inspection is much easier, the tax is much lower. You don't have to to get a car in Japan, a regular car, you have to have a parking spot, and the police have to check it. You have to have proof before you buy the car.
No way.
Yeah. Before they'll insure it and everything. So.
This is a really good design, by the way. So they actually incorporate the taillights into the bumper. So what that means is that when you open up the hatch, the entire hole opens up.
Yeah.
Right? There's no wasted space, no wasted body.
And they designed this hook here, so there's actually hooks that go in here and baskets and stuff. So when I used to ski or bicycle, I just had these wood things that went across here, and I could put my bicycles in here, or my skis. Sometimes I'd have, one time I was at the Nagano Olympics, and we were coming back, and all these people had been at a party. I think we had like 12 people in this car.
No way.
We had like 5 in the middle seat. We had 2 in the front seat, and I was driving. And then I can't remember how many people we had in the back. And we made it. It was a party van at that time.
I mean, check this out. This thing is like way smaller than any new Mini Cooper you could buy. I'm 6'1", and look, I mean, you could easily camp back here with no difficulty.
Well, that's how my wife. That's how I met her when I used to bicycle race.
Yeah.
So that's from being from Boulder. What else do you do? But a Japanese futon fits perfectly back here, and so all the racers that sucked, like me, and couldn't get a sponsor, we'd show up in these little vans. My wife had the Subaru Sandbar.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why she likes it. And I had this, and all my friends had different versions of the vans.
It's like a little collection of vans.
It was, and we'd all park in like a circle and all sleep in the back of our vans.
That's so fun. So let's talk about the inside a little bit. Case, you want to come over here? Now, this, as you mentioned, is pretty basic.
It's as basic. I don't think there's a more basic model. First of all, the passenger seat can't be adjusted or moved at all.
What does that mean?
You can't even recline it.
Wait, like
it's bolted down.
There's no lever to move this.
No, nothing. There's no headrest. Mine had a headrest.
So it's just like a very basic vinyl seat.
Vinyl seat, but this seat can be reclined and moved back and forward.
Okay.
So, and compared to the sandbar, you get maybe an extra inch as far as for far under size.
Yeah.
So you get a little more space on this. But I mean, there's no trip meter. There's no tachometer.
Wow.
At least I have a defroster in the back, but usually there's a wiper in the back. There's none of those.
This is amazing. Case, can you focus on this radio? So, is this AM, FM?
Nope, just AM.
AM radio, but the way this is designed is the only speaker is the speaker built into the radio.
Right. Otherwise, you'd have to spend money.
Is it missing the passenger side visor?
No, that's the way it comes. There's never had one, or the air vent.
No passenger side air vent.
And it doesn't even have the light for the back. So usually there's a light in the back here. It doesn't have that.
No dome light back
No
there.
dome light.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about values and what you could probably, everyone needs one of these, obviously.
Right.
But what are these, so you've said like 15 to 2 grand is what they typically go for in Japan. With shipping fees and all the registration costs, what does it cost to get it here to Colorado?
Okay, so normally it's about 3 to 4 grand.
Okay.
And I always hawk the import guys, but they do a great job and they're not expensive. So
okay.
I think it's they charge like $600 or maybe it's $1,200 if they register it or something, which saves you so much trouble. But I did myself, but then Dylan at the import guy saved my ass saved my butt because of course all my vans, this was supposed to arrive almost a year and a half ago, but because of COVID, I had 4 cars in Japan and they all arrived at the same time. So he had to send a truck that could carry 4 cars, and I had to ask Sound Brokerage in Tacoma to clear them for me, and because I was in Japan I couldn't. So
right.
He got them and put them in storage. So he saved me again. That's the second time he had to do that. And B Ford was the other company I hawked, but there's a company in Colorado that does it called. Oh man, I can't remember.
It's okay.
He's gonna kill me.
But
they do a good job too.
You could, in theory, be all in on one of these for like 10 grand.
Oh yeah, or way less.
Yeah.
If I picked up a car for $80 on auction, it was beat to hell, but it was $80.
Wow.
And by the time I got it here, I think I was up at 36.
Okay.
For everything. That included the car and all the fees and everything.
And
so.
Have you had any issues like registering these in Colorado?
No, thankfully.
Okay.
There was an issue with the K-trucks are still problematic. Some places will let you register them, and then some places won't. But like we just did the Pajero Mini, and that was no problem at all. Boom, immediately done.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time we take it for a spin. Larry, do you mind if I try driving it?
You have to drive it.
I'd really appreciate that. So Larry, first thing I noticed is even though this thing is absolutely puny on the outside, it's pretty good on the inside.
It is. It's not bad. It's quite roomy. As far as crash protection, that's a whole nother story. The good news is that if you do get into a head-on collision,
you'll die immediately.
You won't feel much.
Well, yeah, I think our legs are the furthest point in this vehicle. But power steering?
No power steering on this one.
No power steering.
Not an adjustable steering wheel. Mine had that, but this one doesn't have any of that. So, or electric windows for that matter.
Yeah, no power windows. Could you get these as power windows?
Yep, yeah. I had all of that. I had on mine in Japan, I had power steering, adjustable steering wheel, electric windows.
Amazing view out the front, though.
Yeah, it is.
Really, really good view. And one thing which I think it's kind of hard to explain to people, but especially in such a small vehicle, is it's really easy to get used to right-hand drive.
It is.
You know?
And it's really easy to see off to your left when you're checking your...
Oh, look at the size of that window.
Because the windows are huge. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just enormous. Now, steering, even though it's not power, when you're moving, pretty light.
Yeah, and it's pretty zippy as far as... driving around, it's quite fun.
Now, you've owned, what, 20 of these K-Vans?
I don't know how many, too many.
So my question for you is, have you ever rolled one over?
No, never. I've never even been in a position where I felt like it was going to roll over.
Really?
Yeah, so the suspension's pretty good on that.
Okay.
I'm pretty fat, so they're pretty well placed.
All right, here we go. We're going on the main road in American traffic. Wow, the gearing is short. So first gear is what?
The first 3 gears.
7 miles an hour?
Yeah, something like that.
Second gear?
3 gears are going to be low, and then it gets better from 4th to 5th.
That engine makes such a cool little sound, though.
It does, it does. That's why the cappuccinos can sound pretty good.
What do you think it revs out to?
It's 8,500.
That's so high.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. My car had a tachometer. This one doesn't. But your gas gauge you can see really well.
That's super funny.
I have the air conditioner on. Should I turn it off?
Yeah, turn it off.
So what? It makes a little bit of a difference up a hill.
Does it really?
Yeah.
What kind of fuel economy do you think you can get in one of these?
This one, well, I filled it up before I came to Boulder, so we've driven, about 40 miles, and it hasn't moved from the full. So it's usually over 30s.
Okay.
So I'm guessing between 30 and 35.
Now, one thing I noticed is we're going like 29 miles an hour, and I'm already in 5th gear.
Yeah.
So 5th is pretty short.
It is. That's a weird, because it revs so high. You know, when you're on the highway, it sounds like you're really revving it out, but you're probably only about 65, maybe 70 at the most.
Okay. And are these engines pretty durable?
Yeah. Again, the Suzuki engines are considered the best of the K-car engines. Suzuki's known for getting a lot of output from a small displacement.
Interesting. So well, they're a motorcycle brand.
Yeah.
I'd expect that.
Yeah, and so for as far as the K-car world, and they have a big following in, like this style of car is sold all over like Southeast Asia and East Asia, and so there's big followings for this style of car, like in the Philippines or in Malaysia or in Pakistan, and so there's Suzuki clubs, but they'll often have a slightly higher displacement, maybe 1 liter.
This is a phenomenally easy thing to drive.
It is. It really is. That's the fun thing about it. It's a piece of cake.
It is. I mean, even if you've never driven a stick,
yeah.
I mean, it's so easy to find the gears.
It is.
And it's not hard getting used to your left hand shifting.
No.
And it's not horrifically slow. Like, this will keep up with traffic.
It does, yeah. It's not scary slow. And there's a difference, though, at sea level. It's where you don't feel any fear. You can keep up with traffic, no problem.
Are the turbos pretty
Oh,
quick?
yeah, much more torque.
Okay.
And then the turbo model, especially the passenger version, has slightly better gearing.
Okay.
So the first, second, and third are lower, but the 4th and 5th will be even a little longer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but still, 5th gear isn't long enough. Like for American roads, you really want an even higher gear. So that's where they'll modify it. Enthusiasts will put a cappuccino 5th gear in the transmission.
Oh, I gotcha.
To make it, then it'll happily cruise around 80 miles an hour.
And that engine, it revs so high so fast.
Does it? You're probably only about 65.7 right there.
You think so? Wow.
Yeah, if you keep going. It's got a really high limit on it.
It feels like you're driving like a little tiny F1 bread van.
It does.
All right. So where do you think 8 is?
I still think you didn't hit it.
Larry, it's so high!
No, keep going. I really don't think you hit it yet. Keep going.
I can't hit it!
Yeah.
My mechanical sympathy prevents me from hitting 8,000 RPM.
So,
that's awesome, though.
It is. Yeah, that's a good thing about it. But the torque on it is up to about 69, as I remember.
So there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, once you get it beyond that point, it's not a lot.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, the cool thing about these too is you can really drive something that feels special, that feels like a classic, but it's probably going to be pretty reliable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any major breakdowns in any of your little vans?
Not in my vans. I did blow up a cappuccino, but in the middle of nowhere in Idaho.
Yeah, how did you do that?
The fuel rail, there was something wrong with the fuel rail. We found out later, and then I blew the head gasket on it.
And it's also worth noting, Case pointed it out, this is a 12-valve engine. It's 3 cylinders.
And aluminum.
But 12 valve. I've never been able to make this turn in any other car. You think we can
you'll make it in here, no problem.
Oh, not even full lock.
Yeah. That's the other thing I love about it. And the 4-wheel drive versions on these, they do great in the snow and 4-wheel.
Do they really?
Yeah. So I was always really impressed how well they do.
Now, would you daily drive one of these in the
I
US?
did. Oh yeah, I would. The turbo, no problem at all.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I did it with the other one. I put almost 20,000 miles on the other van.
Did you really?
I did.
Where do you get them serviced?
I had to do it myself. That's the only issue.
Yeah.
Because I don't think. Oh, Polaris has this motor's used in a Polaris.
Is it really?
So you can get parts from Polaris.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Especially the aluminum version. It was used in snowmobiles.
Oh,
So,
no way.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of cross compatibility with other parts.
Okay.
So that was the cool thing about the Cappuccino, was there was lots of parts that were available on the Swift that are also available on this, and then also were shared with a lot of other cars.
Now,
so like the fuel pumps and things like that you can get here for really cheap.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So sitting in it, like, I feel pretty comfortable. Is this van bigger than like the Honda, or bigger than like the other?
They're higher. They are maxed. This was like one of the first ones that really maxed out. It's called the Joy Pop. It's Joypop.
The Joy Pop.
And they maxed out the space.
Well, Larry, this has been such a fun day. I really appreciate you coming by again.
Thank you. I love showing you guys these cars.
I think we're going to do more of these because you have a new little Pajero.
I do, a Pajero Jr.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be so fun.